Hey folks, I want to have a quick discussion today about the Crosman Icon. This isn't going to help a lot of people because it was a recalled gun and a lot of people have returned them, but I just wanted to have a quick discussion about them and then how I solved some of my problems. So I'm going to flip the camera around so I can do some illustrations, but and then tell my story. So um, Crosman Icon was my first bought PCP, and I got it for really cheap. Man, it was like $169. Got it on sale, and then like the next week it went up to 200, and then 2 3 weeks after that it went up to 225. So I was thinking, man, I really got a good deal. So I get the gun, and it's got air in it. First thing I do is kind of pull the bolt back, and I let it go, and it discharges. It's like, did that thing just go off? Then I did it again. And I realized, okay, yeah, if you don't cock this thing all the way back and you just let the bolt go, it'll discharge, and so it's dangerous. Can be dangerous. Um, but the first thing I ran into, flip the camera around. So I get the gun and it's got some air in it, and I do a couple shots, and I go to try to hook my call it up to the 8 millimeter Foster fitting, and it will not fit, no matter what I do. I have a couple of different hoses. Try the different hoses. I tried jamming it on, rocking it on. I tried pushing it on with a pair of pliers. Now I know how to put these on, right? You got to pull the collar back and push it on, and then when it hits its spot, the collet should drop forward. I couldn't get it to do anything, and so I got a hold of Crossman, and I talked to a guy on the phone, and he said rock it, or maybe yours just too new. It obviously had air in it, so somebody was able to get their um, cullet on this and fill it with air. And so I even bought a couple of different cullets and changed them on my hoses, and it never worked. So after about 2 weeks of having the gun and not being able to shoot it, Crossman sent me this fill assembly. This fill assembly cost $50 at the Crossman store, but they gave it to me for free. So all good. I started shooting the gun. I liked it, but one of the things I complained about was like, is anybody else having this problem? Like when I have to seat my pellet, I literally have to jam the heel of my hand into this bolt to get the pellet to seat, and it's like an old school World War I bolt action rifle. You got to use some force, and so after a while, it kind of loosened up on me, and sometimes it'd be hard, and sometimes it would be easy, but it didn't seem to be consistent. And so then I took a friend out, and he triple fed it, right? So he pulled it back, and it didn't cock, but it put a pellet in, and he pulled it back, and it didn't cock, and so then the rifle quit working. I was like, okay, we're done with that today. And I got my cleaning rod and I dislodged the 3 slugs that were inside of it. And then after that, I thought it worked good, and I took it out shooting, and it just stopped working on me. There was some metal shavings, lead shavings in the transfer port. Um, so shooting it again and putting on the chrono, I realized this thing's shooting 500 feet per second. Like, what is wrong with this thing? Like, I've literally got the hammer spring all the way in, and it's shooting 500 feet per second. So I open it up and examine it. And what some people don't know is inside the barrel, which is inside the breech, there's a O-ring inside the barrel. And so I looked, and um, it was gone from the Crosman Icon barrel. And so but it was still really hard to feed, even with no O-ring inside. So I went through the steps, and I got a O-ring from eBay for a Benjamin Marauder, and I put the thing in there, and I'm thinking, excited, now it's gonna work. Well, the feet per second came back up, but I had to literally again jam it, slam it, almost hammer the bolt in for the pellet to seat. I was like, man, what the heck is wrong with this thing? I guess I'll just shoot slugs. And then, because slugs feed easier out of magazines, if you don't know. But so at that point, I'm getting pretty frustrated. Um, I've done everything I can. The rifle's shooting again, but it's freaking really hard. Like it hurts your hand to seat the bolt. And so I had read that in one of the forums that somebody took a barrel from a Barra 1100Z and they put it on the Icon. I didn't read very close, so I said, "Shit, I'm doing that." I bought a brand new barrel, and for a Barra 1100Z, and I got it. It was like, oh shit. The Barra 1100Z barrel is 12 millimeters external diameter, and the Crosman Icon barrel is 15 millimeters. But I read that these are, they're compatible with Beeman and Crosman, and basically all these breeches are practically the same. The transfer port is on the underside of the barrel, but it's right below this grub screw. And so they're all in the same place. The part where they fit into the barrel is all the same. So I decided, let me see if I put this barrel on, if it feeds. And so I put the barrel on, and it feeds perfectly. But the barrel band is for 15 millimeters, and the barrel is 12. So I had to make a bushing out of O-rings. Not the one you see here. That's just kind of covering up the gap because I didn't like to look at a gap. So I have a bushing of O-rings here and a bushing of O-rings inside of here. And then this is a barrel band from Buck Rail Line. So when it's all clamped down, everything's good and steady. So this is a barrel from a Barra 1100Z. And so that brings me to talking to Barra 1100Z. So I think I've fixed my problem. It feeds perfectly, very smoothly. The differences between the barrel is the Crosman barrel has a little ledge. So when it goes to the end of the breech, it stops, right? Kind of like a stopping point. But the Barra didn't. Like you can slide the Barra in and out, and you can actually even see it come, into the where the magazine area is. So to get the proper distance, headspace, I put the magazine in and I seated the barrel and then I put it together. And so now my Crosman Icon is working. It's working well, but it's got a 12 millimeter barrel on it instead of a 15. And so that brings me to the point of talking to Barra. So can you believe it? A Barra barrel for an 1100Z is $25. Shipped, I think it was around 30 or $35 with tax, something like that. And it's a pretty good deal, right? So you can't even get a barrel for a Crosman 2240 for that price. And then the other things that are cool about it is Barra is they sell this piece, fill assembly. It's $20. They sell the valve that goes inside the tube here. It's $20. They have pieces. There's a piece here that goes over the barrel in case you want to try to do a barrel shroud on it, and or put their barrel shroud on it. They don't sell the barrel shrouds aftermarket, but they sell the part they call the air stripper. It fits right here. It goes on with a grub screw, and then the shroud fits over it, so it gives it a good tight fit. But I'm not really worried about that. But they also sell bolts, and they also sell 177 cal barrels. $25, guys. So Barra is just like kicking it on the cheap prices on parts. So if you have a Beeman Chief, this barrel will fit. Again, the Beeman Chief barrel is 15 millimeters and this is 12, so you got to do something with the barrel bands to make it right. But it really isn't that hard. You're taking up 2 millimeters. A pretty easy little, task. And this gun I'm going to leave alone, but I'm thinking highly of buying another Barra barrel and putting it on my Crosman, not my Crosman, I'm sorry, the Beeman Chief 2 side lever that I just bought. Now that thing works perfectly, it feeds perfectly. I've got a nice barrel shroud on it, but I had to use the factory bolts on the threads because the threads aren't 1/2 inch by 20 or 1/2 inch by 28 or anything that's like would fit anything firearm or air gun. It's designed for, I don't know, it's metric threads. And so the threads on the end of the barrel for the, um, if you're if you're tenacious enough to take the moderator off of your Beam Chief 2 side lever, man, it's freaking hard. Well, I did it, but then I ended up with, all these threads. And part of the issue was the adapter that I fit onto the end of it. It didn't fit on far enough because the threads were too long, and it was kinking sideways. And I was getting some pellet clipping, and so I had to do something different, right? So this is you can see where my pellet clipping was right there. Kind of hurt my air stripper a little bit. Anyway, so Barra, it fits the QB, the Beam Chief 2. It fits the Crosman stuff. Basically, it's going to fit almost all the Beemans, and it's going to fit Crosman stuff. So if you're wanting to tinker around, if you're having any problems like I am, if you're just wanting to have a longer barrel, because this barrel is actually 2 inches longer than the factory barrel, and so this is how it comes. This is how the Barra barrel comes. It's in a nice tube. The tube comes in a box, so it's very nicely packaged, And I have the Crosman barrel in here now, and really, I couldn't see what exactly is wrong with the Crosman barrel. So here's the 15 millimeter barrel lined up next to the 12 millimeter barrel. It's not hugely different. I mean, it is, but you can hardly tell. The gun is now lighter. This thing's freaking heavy. I don't know what's wrong with this thing. The O-ring's in there. What it feels like is like they needed to chamfer an area so that the pellet could seat into the rifling. But this goes directly from O-ring to rifling with a ledge. And that little ledge is catching my pellet. And to me, this thing's worthless. It doesn't work. Pellets don't seat in it. I'm going to save it anyway. Maybe I can screw around with it. Since it's garbage, I can do whatever I want with it. But storing the Crosman barrel in the Barra tube now. But Barra 1100C, 22-inch barrel. And so the one on the Crosman was 20 inches, so I get 2 inches of extra barrel, which should increase your velocity a little bit. It's lighter weight, and it's just better made. So, and the best thing is it fixed my problem. So this has been a long video. I appreciate you guys listening. Barra rocks. And the Barra 1100Z right now is going for $225 on their website. So, that's right next to the Chief, and it has a better stock, and it's got, like it's Picatinny up here instead of having to put something extra. We're talking about the Barra. So, the Barra 1100Z is knocking it out of the park. And guess what? I think now I saw on SHOT Show there's a Generation 2 that's going to be higher powered and more shots. So, anyway, appreciate your guys listening. Thanks a lot.